How many more? Pawn storms and defending the king. Let's take these two as well.
Attacking the castled king is no easy task. Not only is a castled king protected behind 3 pawns, it usually is also defended by pieces. One way to attack a castled king is by sacrificing a piece. This is often a very risky strategy because if the attack fails, being down a piece usually results in disaster.
Yeah.
Another way to attack the king is the pawn storm. A pawn storm is when at least 2 or more pawns work together to try and force open lines to attack the enemy king.
Okay.
Pawn storms can be risky, but sacrificing a pawn or 2 to make the opponent's king weak can have great rewards.
That's fine, right?
In this
Yeah, that's
position,
probably fine.
former world champion McCall Tall, known for his incredible attacking skills, has the black pieces. Both sides have castled on opposite sides of the board, so advancing pawns on the side where your king is not castled is often a strong idea. Tall wants to open up lines to attack the enemy king. One idea for black is to play a3. Black is hoping to play a takes b2 on the next turn, ripping open the a file. Unfortunately for black, white can simply keep the position closed by playing b3.
Yep.
When black does not have a good way to open up the position against the enemy king. In the game, Tall played the powerful move b3. One thing to remember about a pawn storm is that not only do you want to remove your opponent's pawns from a file, you also want to remove your own pawns to open up lines for attack. b3 attacks both the c2 and a2 pawns,
So whatever happens,
which
this will
means a
happen.
file will be forced open no matter what white does. White allows the c file to be open with c takes b3. And after a takes b3,
This is open.
white now plays the losing move. When defending against a pawn storm, you want to keep as many lines closed around your king as possible. White should have played a3. Although white's defenses have been weakened and may allow for a future sacrifice on that square, instead of keeping the position as closed as possible, white opens up the a file with a takes b3.
Okay.
Now that the c and a files are open for black's major pieces to use for attack, Tall finishes the game in brilliant fashion, starting with the incredible move bishop e2. Tall sacrifices the bishop in order to open up the c file. We'll see why this matters after queen takes e2. Black threatens checkmate with queen a5. Tall sacrificed the bishop to open up the c file, so black's rook on c8 prevents the white king from easily escaping the checkmate attack.
Okay.
White tries to block the c file with rook c3, but Tall's powerful attack continues after queen a2 check, king c2. Notice the b2 pawn is now pinned to the white king, so black forces the white king up the board
to
with
get rid
rook
of the
takes
rook.
c3 check.
Okay.
After king takes c3, Tall sacrifices a second bishop with bishop b4 check, attracting the king to the deadly b4 square.
So here.
If white refuses the sacrifice and plays king c2, black finishes the game quickly with rook c8 check. Since king d3 allows queen takes b3 checkmate, white is forced to play
hurts.
queen c4. When black destroys white's defenses after rook takes c4 check, b takes c4, and queen takes c4 check, followed by capturing the light-squared bishop with check. In the game, white accepted the sacrifice with king takes b4. When Tall ended the game after queen a5 check, white's king is forced to play king c4, setting up the skewer queen a6 check.
Oh, that hurts.
As white will lose a queen with a winning attack for black, white resigned. Let's take a look at another example of the pawn storm. In this position, both sides have castled on opposite sides of the board, so it is a race between white's pawn storm on the king side versus black's pawn storm on the queen side. Notice that all of white's pawns are already on the 5th rank, so white crashes through first with the powerful move f6. Black does not want to open up the g file after g takes f6 and g takes f6, so black tries to keep the position as closed as possible with bishop f8.
Okay.
White could open up the f file with f takes g7, but white wants to do more damage with the pawn storm and plays g6.
Okay.
The pawn storm crashes through, ready to rip open lines in front of the black king.
So which one then?
If black tries to keep the position closed with h6, white opens up lines to the black king after g takes f7 check,
Okay.
followed by f takes g7, completely destroying the black king's defense.
Wow.
After g6, if black plays h takes g6, white plays h takes g6.
It's still
The
open.
h-file is open,
Yeah.
and white is already threatening rook h8 check, followed by a quick checkmate after queen h2. There is no defense for black. Finally, if black plays f takes g6, black's defenses are overwhelmed after f7 check, king h8, h takes g6. White threatens rook
Oops.
takes h7 checkmate, so after h6, the pawn storm has set up serious weaknesses around black's king. White finishes the attack with the powerful sacrifice bishop takes h6. The h-file is opened, so black cannot allow white to move the bishop and discover a check against the king. So after g takes h6, black is checkmated after queen f6 check, bishop g7. Now that the bishop is pinned to the king, white ends the game with rook takes h6. Checkmate.
Wow.
Let's take a look at one more position together. So far, we have looked at pawn storms when the kings have castled on opposite sides of the board. Successful pawn storms can happen when the kings are castled on the same side of the board, but there is more risk involved because this type of pawn storm creates weaknesses in front of your king. What should you do when your opponent rushes forward with a pawn storm? We know that we should keep the position as closed as possible in front of our king, but we should also try to attack the center and open up lines for our pieces. In this position, black should play the powerful move d5, attacking the center and trying to open up
Just to
lines
move
for
this
black's
one away.
pieces to counterattack. If white captures the pawn with e takes d5, black recaptures with knight takes d5,
Oh, knight takes.
and after knight takes d5, e takes d5. By trading knights, black now has pressure down the c-file, attacking the pawn on c2. If white defends the pawn and improves the knight's position with knight d4, black can now play bishop d6. Black attacks the f4 pawn and opens up the rook's pressure down the e-file. Black's pieces are coming to life, and white's advanced pawns on the king side are more a weakness to defend than a strength. Instead of capturing the d5 pawn, if white pushes forward with e5, black's knight leaps into the center with knight e4. White will have problems advancing the kingside pawns
Well, that's on
because
the
if the
basis
f-pawn
because this
moves,
thing here.
the e5 pawn is without protection.
Huh?
Black now threatens a fork on g3, a weak square caused by white's poorly prepared pawn storm. And black also threatens to win a pawn after knight takes c3. White's position has several issues and will have a difficult game. Now it's your turn to practice attacking the enemy king with pawn storms.
Oh man, let's go. How to use a kingside pawn storm? Where's my king? Oh, here. Okay. You open lines against the enemy king. What move what move continues the pawn storm? This one? I don't know. Maybe it's this one. Yeah, okay. Black tries to prevent white from opening the h-file and start a dangerous attack against the king. How can we open up a file against the black's king? This one? So now we can go, right? Now we have a chance to improve on the play. Rook takes h5 was played, the strong move, but can we invite an even stronger piece to the h5 first? Oh? This one? We can do that. Okay. The edge pawn was pinged. The checkmate threat. Wait, is that really checkmate threat? Wait. Which one? Which edge pawn though? So black attacks our queen, yeah? What shall we do now? We say we'll move this back. Yeah. Okay. Allowing a pawn from our kingside pawn storm to continue the attack. Let's do that. Okay. Wow, this is interesting though. In this Grandmaster battle, White has played a typical... Oh, White. F3, G4. F3, G4. Wait, G4? Oh, this is true. Pawn moves to build a kingside pawn storm. How should White continue to add power to this pawn storm? Add power. We can either move this bishop or we can move the pawn. Which one then? Oh wow, I'm not sure about this one. Just move the queen. That sounds unreasonable. Well, I'm kind of tired though. The G pawn is strong, but can you add power to the pawn storm by advancing another pawn? Or just this, right? This one. Wait, more? Can you find a way to add another pawn to your pawn storm? What? What do you mean by that? This one? Oh. That is weird, right? This is the pawn, but... okay, never mind. But he says another pawn. White brings the powerful, edge pawn to the pawn storm. Which pawn should White first advance? The G4 or H4? I think maybe this one. Challenge this. But I want to open this bar, right? Maybe this one, I don't know. Wow, really? Oh. Preparing to anchor the knight with G6. G6? Okay, it's trying to challenge our queen or something. Remove that piece. Okay. Let's carry on. Keep moving? Or like which one? That's not very good. d3. Okay. Can you find the move that brings the second rook into the pawn storm attack? Is here. Okay. Great job finding this move. Black is about to. Whoa, this is gotta be a long one. Start a queenside counter attack. Blast open the defenses. Okay, how we blast open it? This one? Which one first then? This one? Not very good. Has to be this one, right? Yeah. Wow. Too tough. I guess with the guide I can get past those challenges, but when playing a real game I just cannot utilize them. Queenside pawn storm. What? Counterattacks on the king side with his pawn own pawn storm. Can you find this move? I don't know. It's gotta start with this. I don't know. Okay. Wants to weaken the light squares around white's king. This means we need to attack the g2 pawn. Keep your pawn storm rolling. Wait, how will we attack that? Is it gonna be a bishop sacrifice? Man, I doubt. But let's go for that. No. The what can attack the g2 pawn? I see no piece can attack the g2 pawn. The queen? Queen... g2 pawn. I just keep moving this? It's not gonna be the knight. Not gonna be the dark square bishop. I don't know. That's weird. Attack g2 and weaken the keep moving the pawn that can do this. Keep. But why don't we keep moving now? If white played h3, yeah, black will move to the f8 knight to g5. f8 knight to g. What? f8 knight to g5, yeah? Threatening dangerous sacrifices against the h3 pawn. White adds pressure to the queen side, but keep your attack going and weaken the light squares around the king. So we just push this, right? Okay. Queen d7 from response. Now that the h7 square is open, h7 square is open. Use that square to advance our f knight to let's go here then. 5. But we're not targeting this anymore. So I don't want to weaken my king side, huh? In this English opening, black is trying to get a quick pawn storm rolling on the king side. h5, h4. Okay, how can white keep the h5 close and prevent the black from advancing the pawn to h4? This one? Wait, what? Closes the H file and prevents the pawn from moving. That is not one? H4. Use my queen? Come on, that's not gonna do it. I'm not sure what this is all about though. Why is this not a knight move? But I can castle though? On the pawn move that prevents the h pawn from moving to h4. Oh, okay. Wait, is this even closed? That is weird. What do you mean closed? Oh, this account is closed? Okay. I don't know. Okay. Frank Marshall has the white pieces. Let's have some fun attacking Black's knight with our pawns and create a powerful pawn storm on the king side. First, which knight should White attack with a pawn? Which knight? You said king side, right? If I do this, that's gonna happen. So I'm gonna attack this one though. Then I'm gonna attack this one, right? Okay. Forcing the round. Let's remove the black knight from d4. d4 with another pawn attack. So we go there. Okay. How can we continue to attack a black knight and grab some space? Going. Okay. Once again, he attacks a d5 knight with a pawn. Play the move. Okay. Storm the center with d4. That sounds pretty good. Instead, let's play his move that attacks the f4 knight. f4 knight with a pawn. Also a strong move. Oh wow. Creating a powerful kingside pawn storm. And threatening to fork the knight. This one? What the heck? That is mental though. But I don't know how we managed to lose a pawn on this side. But whatever. Oh, I think that's all my brain power today. I can't even play a single game.